I secretly recorded my girlfriend's conversation with her best friend, and what I heard made me pack my bags and change my identity. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I do. The moment I pressed stop on the recording app, my hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. The ethical implications of what I had done were a screaming siren in my head. I had become the kind of person I despised, a snoop, a liar, a paranoid creep. But in that moment, the guilt was drowned out by a cold, crushing wave of reality that shattered my entire world. My name is Mark, and for 5 years, I thought I was building a life with the love of my life, Sarah. Now, I know I was just a placeholder, a comfortable piece of furniture in the waiting room of her life, until her real, exciting future began. It started subtly, as these things always do. Sarah and I met in college, much like in the other story, but our connection was instant and intense. She was a journalism major, fiercely intelligent, with a wit that could slice through steel and a smile that could mend it back together. I was in computer science, more comfortable with code than with people, but she drew me out of my shell. We were the couple our friends pointed to and said, "I want what they have." For years, I believed them. We were a team. We supported each other through finals, through family dramas, through the awkward, thrilling first years of adulting. I helped her practice for presentations. She dragged me to parties where I'd otherwise be a wallflower. We fit. We moved in together after graduation, got a dog, a scruffy terrier mix named Finn, and settled into a comfortable, seemingly happy routine. We talk about the future abstractly. Maybe a house in the suburbs one day. Definitely travel to Japan, someday kids. But not yet. We were focused on our careers. I was climbing the ladder at a tech startup, and Sarah had landed a coveted job at a major media outlet. Life was good, or so I thought. The foundation felt solid. The walls we were building together felt strong. The first crack appeared about 6 months ago. Sarah became distant. Not all the time, but in waves. She'd be her usual vibrant, incisive self for a week. Then she'd retreat into a quiet, pensive shell for days. Our conversations about the future, once playful and full of what-ifs, began to get shut down with a tangible tension. If I mentioned a friend's wedding and jokingly said, "Guess we're next," she'd physically tense up, her smile would become tight, and she'd immediately change the subject to something mundane like the weather or what to have for dinner. If I showed her a listing for a cute house with a yard for Finn, she'd dismiss it with a wave of her hand, saying, "The market is crazy right now, Mark. It's not worth even thinking about." I, perhaps foolishly, wrote it off as stress. Her job was demanding, often pitting her against ruthless colleagues for the best stories. The media world is brutal, and she was in the thick of it. I doubled down on being the supportive partner. I took on more chores, cooking her favorite meals, complicated recipes I had never attempted before, planning surprise weekend getaways to cozy cabins to help her relax. She'd appreciate it, smile, give me a hug, but the distance never fully closed. There was a glass wall between us, and I could no longer hear her clearly. Then the phone call started. It was always with her best friend, Chloe. They'd always been close, but this was different. They'd talk for hours, sometimes late into the night, in hushed, intense tones from the home office. The cadence was all wrong for a casual chat about work or gossip. It was a rhythm of plotting, of serious consultation. If I walked in to bring her a cup of tea, the conversation would stop abruptly or shift with jarring clumsiness to something banal, like a sale at Nordstrom or a reality TV show. Sarah's phone, which used to lie around freely on the coffee table, was now always face down, always in her pocket or clutched in her hand, password protected with a code she'd changed from my birthday to something I didn't know. My anxiety, a beast I usually kept caged with logic and code, began to rattle its bars. The classic, cliche thought entered my mind. Is she cheating on me? The idea was simultaneously terrifying and, in a weird way, a problem I felt I could almost understand. Infidelity as a roadmap, however painful. You confront, you cry, you go to therapy, you reconcile, or you break up. It's a known quantity. But my gut, that primal knot in my stomach, told me it was something else. Something more nebulous, more sinister, and far more final. One Tuesday night, the beast broke free. Sarah announced she had a late work event, a dinner with a confidential source who couldn't meet during the day. It sounded plausible, but a quick, paranoid search through her public-facing company calendar online showed me her department had no such event listed. A cold dread settled in my stomach. An hour later, from my car parked across the street from a chic, dimly lit wine bar she loved, I saw her, not with a grizzled informant, but with Chloe. They were leaned in close over a small table, a single candle flickering between them, talking with intense, grave expressions. Sarah was crying, not hysterically, but with a quiet devastation that was worse. Chloe was holding her hands, nodding, her face a mask of solemn support. It wasn't the scene of a cheating partner. It was a scene of conspiracy. They were planning something, and I was the subject. That was the moment I crossed the line. The moment desperation overrode my moral compass. I wasn't proud of it. I was terrified, but I had to know. The next day, while Sarah was in the shower, the sound of the water a steady white noise, I slipped into the home office. Her iPad was there, left charging on the desk. It was synced to her iMessages. My heart hammered against my ribs, like it wanted to escape and flee the scene of the crime I was about to commit. I found what I was looking for, a voice memo app. I saw a long list of recordings she'd sent to Chloe. The titles were mundane, ideas or article, then about editor, but one near the top was different. It was from a night before, labeled Midnight Freakout. With a trembling finger, my breath held, I airdropped the Midnight Freakout file to my own phone. The transfer felt agonizingly slow. The moment it was done, I deleted the record of the transfer from her iPad, erasing my digital footprint. I hid my phone in my pocket just as she turned off the shower water. I felt like a criminal. I felt like scum. The guilt was immediate and nauseating. I couldn't listen to it right away. The weight of my violation was too immense. I carried the audio file around all day like a radioactive secret, burning a hole in my pocket, its presence a constant, accusing hum in the back of my mind. It wasn't until later that night, when Sarah announced she was going to a late yoga class to clear her head, and a quick, sickening check of her studio's online schedule confirmed they had no evening classes, that I found myself truly alone in the apartment we shared. The silence was deafening. I poured a whiskey I didn't want, the ice clinking in the glass, sounding unnaturally loud. I went to the balcony, overlooking the city lights that once felt like our city, and put on my headphones. I took a deep, shuddering breath and pressed play. Sarah's voice, raw, shaky, and utterly familiar, filled my ears. It was a voice I loved, but twisted with a stress I had completely misread. Chloe, I can't do this anymore. I'm lying in bed right now, and he's asleep next to me, and he looks so peaceful, so oblivious. And I just feel this crushing weight of guilt. But it's not enough to change my mind. It just makes me feel worse about what I have to do. My blood ran cold. Oblivious. The word was a dagger. The offer from the network is just, it's everything. It's the career-making move we always talked about. The one I thought was a pipe dream. But it's in London, Chloe. London. For 3 years minimum. And they wanted to start in 2 months. 2 months. I stopped breathing. London? A job offer? A life-changing, incredible opportunity. And she'd never said a single word. Not a hint of excitement. not a whisper of anxiety. She had boxed me out completely. I know. I know I have to tell him. Sarah's recording continued, a sob catching in her throat. But every time I try, I chicken out. He's going to be so reasonable. He's going to want to talk about logistics, about long distance, about visas for Finn. He's going to try and problem solve and make it work. And I can't. I can't do long distance for 3 years. That's a purgatory. I can't ask him to uproot his life and his career for my job. And the truth is, God, this is going to sound so awful. There was a long pause, filled only with her shaky, tear-filled breathing. I clutched the balcony railing, my knuckles white. The truth is, I don't want to come. This is my thing, my adventure, my fresh start. I love Mark, I really do. He's a good man. But he's part of this life here. He's comfortable. He's safe. He's predictable. This life we've built, it feels like a warm, weighted blanket. And some days recently I feel like I'm suffocating under it. Going to London, it's a clean break. It's a new me. And I think I need to do it alone. I need to know who I am without this safety net. Chloe's voice, faint and tinny on the recording. So what are you going to do? You can't just ghost him. You live together. Sarah's voice hardened, becoming pragmatic and cold in a way that chilled me to the bone. This was Sarah the journalist, managing a crisis. Not Sarah my girlfriend, navigating a relationship. I'm going to wait. The contract isn't fully signed yet. I'll get everything in order on my end first. I'll secure the apartment over there, get the paperwork done, everything. Then, a week before I'm supposed to leave, I'll sit him down. I'll explain it's not him, it's me, that I need to find myself, all that cliche crap. It'll be a clean break. He'll be hurt, but he'll get over it. He's strong. He's resilient. It's better this way than dragging him through months of uncertainty and false hope. It's merciful in a way. A week. Chloe echoed, sounding genuinely shocked. Sarah, that's brutal. It's clean, Sarah insisted, her voice firm now, as if trying to convince herself as much as Chloe. It's merciful, like pulling off a bandage. Quick and painful, but then it's over. I can't stand the idea of months of sad looks and tense conversations and him trying to fix us when there's nothing to fix. I've just outgrown this. I've outgrown him. Outgrown him. The words landed like a physical blow to the chest. I stumbled back from the railing, ripping the headphones off. The city lights blurred into a smear of color. The woman I loved, the woman I was planning a future with, saw me as a comfortable blanket she was suffocating under. She saw our entire life together as a constraint, a thing to be escaped from. And her plan wasn't to talk to her partner 5 years. It was to manage me, to schedule my heartbreak for her convenience, a week before her grand departure, so she wouldn't have to deal with a messy, emotional aftermath. I was a task on her pre-moving checklist. 1, pack books. 2, cancel subscription. 3, dump Mark. The betrayal wasn't about another person. It was about a fundamental lack of respect and honesty. I wasn't a partner. I was an obstacle to be managed and discarded with clinical efficiency. The numbness lasted for about an hour. I sat on the cold balcony floor, the whiskey glass untouched, just staring into nothingness. Then a cold, clear, and utterly focused fury took its place. It was like a switch had been flipped. The grief and pain were there, swirling beneath the surface. But this fury was a powerful engine. She wanted a clean break? Fine. She would get one. But I would be the one to define its terms. I didn't confront her. What would be the point? She'd just deny it, or worse, accelerate her timeline, and make me look like the crazy, paranoid one for snooping. She'd weaponize my invasion of her privacy, which was wrong. I knew it was wrong, to overshadow her own much larger betrayal. No, This was a negotiation. I called in sick to work for the next 3 days. A bad flu. I croaked to my boss. While Sarah was at her job, playing the part of the happy, dedicated girlfriend over text messages. "How's your day, sweetie? Hope you're feeling better." I was in our no in my apartment, executing a plan with a military precision I didn't know I possessed. I contacted my boss privately on a secure channel, explaining I had a severe and sudden family emergency that required me to relocate and work remotely indefinitely. Thankfully, my job in tech was perfectly suited for it. I spent hours online, finding a furnished, short-term rental in a city 3 states away, a place with no associations, no memories. I quietly liquidated a few investments I had from before our relationship, moving the money into a new, separate account she couldn't access. I went through our shared possessions with a dispassionate eye. I packed only my essentials, clothes, my computer, a few books that were mine before we met, the few pieces of art my friends had made. I took Finn to a trusted friend, explaining I needed a huge favor for a few weeks until I could get settled and find a pet-friendly place. I lied to my friend, too. I said there was a family illness and I might need to travel. The web of deception was growing, and it sickened me, but the engine of fury kept me moving. I left all the furniture, the kitchenware, the photos on the walls, all the trappings of our shared life. I wanted none of it. It was all part of the suffocating blanket. Looking at it made my skin crawl. On the 4th day, a Friday, Sarah left for work as usual. She gave me a peck on the cheek, her perfume, the one I bought her for her birthday. Filling the air, she talked about a boring editorial meeting she had to sit through. "Feel better, sweetie. I'll try to be home early." "Maybe we can order Thai," she said, her voice light, cheerful, utterly unaware that the man she was speaking to was already gone, a ghost in his own home. The moment the door clicked shut, I moved. It was a whirlwind of controlled chaos. I loaded my car with my boxes, did one final sweep of the apartment, ensuring I'd left nothing of myself behind except what I intended to. I left my key on the kitchen counter. Next to it, I placed a single piece of paper. It wasn't a long, emotional letter. It didn't explain everything. It didn't mention the recording. It was a statement of fact, cold and final. It simply said, "Sarah, I know about London. I know your plan. Consider the bandage pulled. Don't try to find me. Good luck with your new life. Mark." I didn't sign it with love. I didn't sign it with anger. I just signed it. It was a signature on a divorce from a life I no longer recognized. I got in my car and started driving. I didn't look back at the apartment building. I didn't drive by our favorite coffee shop. I just pointed the car east and pressed the accelerator. My phone blew up about 2 hours into my drive. First, a few confused texts. Then calls. Then dozens of missed calls. A waterfall of texts ranging from confused, "Where are you?" "Is everything okay?" to angry, "Mark, answer your phone." "This isn't funny," to desperate and panicked. Please just tell me you're safe. I'm scared." I didn't read them all. After the 10th call, I pulled over at a rest stop, my hand shaking. I went into my settings and blocked her number. I blocked her on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. The act felt brutal and necessary. I sent a quick, calm email to Chloe saying, "I know everything. Please respect my need for space and do not try to contact me or act as an intermediary. This is between Sarah and me." Then I blocked her too. I severed the digital umbilical cords that had tied me to my old life. The white-hot rage carried me for the first few days of drive. It was fuel. It kept the grief and the horrifying emptiness at bay. But rage burns out. I arrive at the short-term rental, a bland, beige box in a city where I knew no one. The silence was absolute. I picked up Finn from the shipping service I'd arranged and his confused, happy whimpers as he explored the new, empty space were the only sound. And then, in the stark, impersonal quiet of this new place, the grief hit. It wasn't just grief for her. Not really. It was grief for the person I thought she was. It was grief for the future I thought we were building. The house, the trips, the lazy Sunday mornings that would never happen. It was grief for the 5 years I had spent loving a phantom, building a life with a stranger. I cried for the first time, great, heaving, ugly sobs that felt like they were tearing me apart from the inside out. Finn licked my face, whining, confused by my pain, and his simple, unconditional love made me cry even harder. Weeks turned into months. The beige rental became a temporary home. I started therapy online, trying to untangle the massive knot of betrayal, self-blame, and guilt over my own actions. Had I been too comfortable? Too safe? Too predictable? Had I somehow failed to grow alongside her? Had my love become a cage for her? My therapist, a patient woman with a calm voice, helped me see that her actions were about her own fears and inability to communicate, not my failings as a partner. Her decision to orchestrate an exit strategy rather than have an adult conversation was a profound character flaw, a deep-seated cowardice. My violation of her privacy was wrong, a reaction born of desperate confusion, but it didn't justify her months of deception. I heard snippets through a single, mutual friend who respected my privacy, but felt I should know the aftermath. Sarah was, predictably, utterly devastated, then furious, calling me a coward, a psycho, a manipulative monster for leaving like that, then worried, sick, convinced I'd had a mental break. She had gone to our apartment to find me gone, and my note on the counter. She had called the police, reported me as a missing person, but they quickly determined I had left of my own volition. My email to my boss and the closed bank account were evidence enough, and told her it was a civil, domestic matter, not a criminal one. Her grand adventure in London was shadowed by the nuclear fallout she never saw coming. The friend said she was a mess, consumed by guilt and confusion, but also by a raging narcissistic anger that I had stolen her moment of catharsis, her planned breakup speech. I had taken control of the narrative she had so carefully written, and she hated it. She'd been robbed of her chance to be the brave when embarking on a new journey, and was instead left as the guilty party who'd been found out. A part of me, a small, dark part one wasn't proud of, felt vindicated. The larger part of me just felt profound, echoing sadness. Sad for both of us. Sad for the beautiful, happy life that was nothing but a carefully constructed illusion on her part and a naive dream on mine. It's been over a year now. I live in a different city, in a small apartment I've made my own. I have a new job with a fully remote team that knows nothing of my past. I'm dating someone new, cautiously, slowly. Someone who values radical honesty above comfort, who would rather have a difficult conversation than let a resentment fester. I still have nightmares sometimes, where I'm back in that apartment, listening to that recording on a loop, Sarah's voice saying outgrown over and over. I wake up in a cold sweat, and for a moment, the betrayal feels fresh and raw. But then I look around my room, at the new, bold art on the walls that I chose for myself, with no one else's opinion to consider. At Finn, snoozing at the foot of my bed, who adapted to our new life with the simple resilience of a dog who just knows he's loved and safe. This life is mine. It's authentic. It's not a shared delusion. It's not a performance for a partner who's already planning her exit. I became the villain in her story by exposing her truth before she was ready, by refusing to play my assigned role in her drama. She became the villain in mine the moment she decided my heart was a problem to be solved with efficiency, not a partnership to be honored with honesty. I don't know if what I did was right. I know it was a violation. I know it was extreme, but I also know in my bones that it was necessary for my survival. Sometimes, the only way to stop suffocating is to tear the blanket away yourself. And sometimes, you have to burn it to ashes to make sure you're never tempted to crawl back under it again. The ashes are cold now, and the air, while sometimes lonely, is my own, and it is finally, blessedly, free.